I'm from Sky Company. I work as a technical support engineer at Galileosky. And today we want to talk about working with SIM cards, working with cellular providers and operators. So I think it's a very interesting topic. We have a lot of questions, consultations about this topic. So I think this presentation, it will be interesting for everyone. And okay, of course, let's go to the first slide. It's just a presentation. As I told you, my name is Pablo Badillo. And our webinar today will be about 60 minutes long. At the end, or in the middle of the webinar, you can write your consultations in the chat. I will try to answer as soon as possible, or in the end, you will have some minutes to do your own questions. So that's the plan for today. And also, a recording of the webinar will come to your email when this webinar finish. Also, it will be probably available at YouTube, so you can watch it every time you want. And okay, I already told you about the questions. You have a question tab. You can do your questions there, or you can write them in the chat. It's fine. Okay, first of all, I'd like to talk about a little what's new on Galileosky. Galileosky just released the new configurator with some improvements, some fixes, some problems that the clients detected are solved now. So I recommend you, as always, be update with the different configurator, with the firmwares for the devices too, but mainly for the configurator, so you can be up to date with all the fixes and things that and features that we add lately. Okay. Also, I wanted to talk about one of our cases. In this case, I'd like to talk about SG Brass. They are our partners from Brazil, and they developed a very interesting solution that helps the driver to do their work better. And so it's a very interesting solution that they developed using different devices that they develop, and they integrated with our terminals. So we are very happy to have a partnership with them. So it's a very interesting project, as every project that we work on. This is a particular interesting project that we developed with the people from SG Brass from Brazil. So hi to them, Samuel, Joao, Mateus, and everyone there. It's good to work with them. And this solution was developed for mining, transportation, and delivery. So it's very, as I told you, it's a very interesting project. Okay, let's go now to the presentation. First of all, there are some questions about how the device switches between two cards. It's a feature that our devices has. Everyone asks how exactly this works. Let's start from the simplest configuration, which is configuration number 0 and number 3. As you can see here, this type of switching Oh, I see there are a lot of questions there. Let me check. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Julia is helping me today to show you, and she sent different links so you can read more about this project and about our configurator and to download them. Okay. I was telling you there are two modes: the simplest mode, the mode number 0, and mode you can see here, scene switch 0 and 3. These modes only set one chip, one SIM card. Will be 0 or 1, and it will not switch, so it's the simplest mode. If you use just one card, I will recommend use one of these modes. Remember that SIM 0 it's always near to the edge of the device, and SIM 1 it's more inside, let's call it inside the terminal. So it's the simplest mode that you can use. Then we have the switching modes, right? The rest of them are switching modes, but we need to talk about which is the reason to switch. So in model switching mode number 1 or 5, it would be the same, but we will have a default card. So in mode number 1, the default card will be the SIM 0, and in mode number 5, it will be SIM number 1, the default one. But the question is how this switching mechanism works. I prepared this slide so you can understand how it works. We can divide the work of the SIM cards in 3 phases, in 3 steps, let's say. The first one is the registration. So the device, it starts from 0, resets the modem. If you go to the diagnostic section and you check the option CC modem, you can see how these 3 phases appear one by one. The first one is the registration. Registration is that your provider let you in. For example, if your card is not enabled to work on this provider, maybe, I don't know, maybe the card has some problem, or maybe the provider decided to disable the card or inactivate the card, you will stop it at this step, because when you put the card inside the terminal and the terminal starts trying to communicate with the provider, it will send the number of this card, and the provider will say, no, this card is not enabled, it's not active, so I will kick out of the network. I will not allow this card to work on this network. So that's the first step. So the registration process goes as is shown on the picture. It first tries to register twice. Then, if it fails to register, you will the device will restart the modem and will try 5 times to register. Then, if the registration process, it will try to switch the card. Okay, what's the main problem that you will find when the device tries to register as it's not able to do it? In general, it's because of low signal level. It can be, as I told you before, because the card is active, or maybe it was disabled for some reason by the provider. But in general, if the card is active and the provider just gave you the card, it's a new one and everything, you will see this kind of behavior when the signal is level, the signal level is low, okay? Or you have bad connection, or you have some problems with the antenna, or maybe you have some interference. But in general, we can talk about problems with the signal. Okay. If the registration is okay and everything went fine, you go to the second step. You will go to the step in which you try to establish a CPRS session, right? The device is already registered, everything is fine, and maybe it will prepare to receive SMS. It will be prepared to receive calls, but now it needs to start the registration in the session. So it will connect to internet. Let's call it that way. The device will try to establish this connection. What's the most common problem that you will find doing this step and failing? It's because the APN is incorrect. Maybe it's not the NPN, maybe it's the username, maybe it's the password, but in general it goes along this way. Some providers as here in Russia don't use APN, so you will not have problems in this step. But a lot of providers around the world use this kind of mechanism. So if you discover that the device is failing while trying to establish a GPR as session, you need to check if the APN is correct. And the mechanism will be the same. If the APN is not correct, it will fail and it will try to restart, and it will do it 5 times. And if everything fails, it will go and switch the SIM card, right? It will ask me how many time will this mechanism take. Well, it depends on the modem version, on the terminal version, on the connection I use. But in general, it will take between 10 and 20 minutes to this whole process in which the device tries to connect or tries to register and it fails and tries again and then restart the modem and everything else. So let's take as a parameter between 10 and 20 minutes. Finally, we have the third step. The card is already registered. The card already set, the terminal already start the session, a data communications session with the provider. So the terminal tries to send data. And the device will try to connect to 3 different servers. The primary server, if you already set one. The secondary server, also, if you set one, or maybe you didn't. Most of our clients use just one server, but some of them also use a secondary one. And also to remote configuration server. If the device is able to send data to one, it's not important which one, is to send data to one of these servers, the terminal will decide that there is connection, everything is fine, so there's no need for switching, okay? If it fails, okay, it will switch, it will try do the same, it will try to register again. If the registration is okay, establish connection, send data. Sending data, it will try to switch the card. But in the case the device was able to send at least one small packet and it received the answer from the server saying that everything's fine and the data come through correctly, the device will stay, will not switch the card, and that's an important issue, right? Why am I telling you this? Because some providers will allow you to send, for example, you had a problem with the card. It's active, but the provider didn't activate it fully or something like that. Something strange happened. Or maybe you forget to pay the bill. Just saying. I'm not saying that you did that, but maybe that happened. you forgot, or maybe you're switching your provider, or maybe your provider had a problem with your bill, something like that. So it will allow you to send a small packet probably, but when you want to send a bigger packet, the device will not be able to do it because the provider didn't allow you to do that. So that's the main issue that you can find, because when you send a packet to the remote configuration server that we sent, it's a small packet. It's about 5 or 6 bytes. So a packet like that may come through. A head pack, maybe it can go through the network, but when you want to send the main pack, which is a bigger one, it can be around 200 bytes, maybe if you set a lot of text, bigger packet will not come through. So in that case, the device will not switch the car, and you will see that there's no data coming. So what I recommend you is to go to diagnostic and check what's happening. Maybe you will see that the car sends the first packet. You will see the legend saying CRC, it's okay. So the head packet come through fine. But when you see sending main pack, and when you see CRC is not okay, it means that the provider probably didn't allow you to go through. Maybe you have another problem. Maybe you have a problem with your server. Maybe you're developing your own server, and you will find out that you are not decoding correctly the data, so you sent the incorrect CRC, and the device will receive this not okay CRC. So the main pack went through because the head pack went through because you decoded it right. But when you try to decode the main pack and you send the CRC back, it's not correct. So the device will say, okay, I will continue trying because there's a problem with the server. So you need to check that. So the main issues that you can find in this situation is that you have a problem with the provider, as you told you before. Maybe you have a problem with the server. So you need to check there. Okay. Okay, let's go back to the previous slide. We will talk now about switching, but now switching according to the provider. And this is mainly used when you're talking about roaming. Maybe you live, for example, in this example that I put here, maybe you live in Brazil, just saying. And you have some vehicles that cross the border, which is very common especially in Europe and also in South America, because we have a big commercial trade between the different countries in South America. So maybe your vehicle will go across the Brazil to Argentina. So you cannot have the same provider for Brazil and from Argentina, because when you cross the border, you will start paying for the roaming connection, so it's very expensive, and you want to use another card which will be cheaper to use in Argentina, just as an example. So for that, you need to detect exactly to which provider you want to connect. Okay, let's talk now about the codes. First, every country has a mobile country code, okay? The mobile country code, it's the first 3 numbers, as you can see. Here, it's 724 for Brazil, 722 for Argentina, 424 for United Arab Emirates, sorry, and 234 for United Kingdom. Okay. Apart from that, you have a second code, which is the mobile network code, which identifies the provider. For example, talking about Brazil again, we have 02 for TIM, which is one of the providers, 05 for Claro, or 06 for Vivo, which is three different providers. When you join them together, you will get the operator code, as we call it. The operator code is formed by the country code and then the operator code or provider code. Okay. So, for example, to know about to say that we are connected to Team Brazil, we will be getting this code that you can see here. It's Team and it's Brazil. Okay. If it would be Team, but I don't know, maybe, probably in Venezuela, for example, it would be different because the country code will be different. Maybe the operator code will be the same, but the country code will be different. Okay. Yeah, Mohammed is telling me this providers in Algeria. Thank you. Yeah. Different. You have different operator codes for the same operator. Yeah, it also happens sometimes. So what you will do here? How to switch between cards when you cross the border? You will use this operator's code, right? The operator's code will work like this. You will have a list of preferred operators, and you will have a list of prohibited or operators, right? I mean, it is preferred. The first list is preferred. It means that if the device is able to find this exactly operator code, it will connect directly to that. Maybe at some point it can find it, so it will try to connect to another operator. But when you find it, it will connect directly to that one. Okay. And then we have the list of prohibited codes. Prohibited codes means don't connect to this one. Whatever happens, you should not connect to this code, right? Okay. So for this, you can find here the different codes, the different commands to send to the device, configure it. Maybe you can use the graphical configurator as you want. You will open the list and you will add all the codes, or you can send the different comments and add the different codes, and it will be like that, just that. Okay. Let's take an example between Brazil and Argentina, right? For example, you want that the device will connect to one specific operator, for example, TIM, while the device is in Brazil, and to another operator when the device is in Argentina, right? For example, we will use this one, which is TIM, as the preferred network. So while in Brazil, the device will connect to TIM. Well, maybe if it cannot find a connection with TIM and the providers allows you to do that, you will connect to Vivo, just saying, or to Claro. But you want to be sure that the device don't connect to Personal, which is this network from Argentina. So you set it in the prohibited list, right? And for the same one, you will do the other way. You will put Personal as the preferred network. So while in Argentina, the device will connect to Personal, or maybe to Claro, maybe to Movistar. But when you while you are in Argentina, you don't want to connect to Vivo, to TIM, sorry. So you will set it as the prohibited. So in general, what you must do is to put in the preferred list the provider that you want to connect to while in the country, and in the prohibited list you should put all the providers from the other country, right? So it will, in using this mechanism, you will make the device not to connect to a roaming network, let's say. Okay, this is the main question. Let's go back to the modes. We have another interesting mode, which is this one, switch by timeout. I want to make this very clear. This setting, this timeout setting that you can see in the configurator, it only works for this mode. It doesn't work for the other modes, because the device will switch according to this timeout with the different cards to connect to different servers. For example, you have a card which is, I don't know, let's say that your government wants you to send data every some minutes, and you should use their SIM card, and you should use their server, for example. So you can put this SIM card that they gave you, and you will put the server as a secondary, this server as a secondary server, for example. And you will put in the main card, and let's say that this card only can connect to this server and nowhere else. Okay, so in the SIM0, you will put your own card to receive your own data, and you will put as a primary server your server, and as a secondary one you will use this card and the server from the government. Okay, so using this mechanism, the device will switch between the two cards, so it can connect to both servers, and it will do it according to the time you set. By default, it is set to 120 seconds. Maybe you can switch it because you know, there's a registration process, there is a starting session process, there are starting sending data process. So maybe 120 seconds is not enough to do all that in this time. So maybe you need to set it a little larger, for example, I don't know, 240 seconds. So you will have 4 full minutes to connect, to establish the session, and to start sending data. And you will send all the data that was registered during that time, and then you will switch back to the other SIM card, right? Okay, and finally we have another mechanism that can be used, which is easy logic. But first, let me just for our users that still use the 5 devices, you can see that the roaming, it's explaining briefly here. It's the mechanism is almost the same. It works almost the same as with the 7, but the graphical part is a little different. So take that into account. But it is just that. What about easy logic? With easy logic, you can switch the card that you want to use the way you want. For example, you are on the different country, and you will switch back. You will switch the card according to the country, to the position of the terminal, and not according to the to the either that you want to connect, as I told you before. Or maybe you can switch the card because something happened. I don't know. You receive an input on let's call you have a panic button connected to some of the input, and that will make the device to switch the card and start the call, just saying. or maybe you want to switch card because that it is up to you. Let's say you can switch it the way you want. So, but in general, what I want to say is that its logic allows you to switch between the two cards, using the logic. So you can work the logic you need to, and you will switch the car the way you want. Okay. Maybe you can check. You have different variables, as you can see here. Maybe um, you can switch card. Maybe you will try to see if the modern visiting shamming, you can switch cards. Or maybe you can switch card if you I don't know, you have an active call. I don't know, it depends on you, totally depends on you. So you can use them, or maybe you can use the push to talk button to change the cards. It's up to you, as I told you. So that's the one of the, as you know, one of the main features of our devices is the logic allows you to do everything you want. And so that's the important part about this this slide that I wanted to tell you. So now it's time for your questions. I hope that you have some questions. You can write on the chat, as I told you. Okay, waiting for your questions, for your, if you, I don't know, if you're working, integrating something and you want to know something else about the how to work with SIM cards. As I told you, it's a very important thing to try to understand what's happening in the diagnostic part of the device. Is a very useful feature, just to understand what's happening behind, right? If you don't have any questions, I can try to show you just a little. Let me check 1 second. Okay. Everything's clear? Seems to. Okay. Okay, let me check 1 second. I don't know if you. Okay. I would like to tell you that I'm very happy that you were here. As I told you, you will receive the recording of this presentation in your email. It will be probably available in YouTube. Anything you need, you can contact us. You know our phone numbers. 1 second. Oh, okay. Oh, thank you, Julia. You can contact us using our email, support at galileosky.com. Okay, and I hope you. Okay. Okay, we have a question from Mohammed. Approximately how much data consumption comes to per month? Well, it depends. It totally depends on the how many points you want to send for, I don't know, for second, or maybe for every 10 seconds, or maybe 40 seconds. I don't know. It depends, and it depends, of course, on the size of the device. So it totally depends on how you configure it, and if you, I mean, if you are connected in an area with very good connection, you will not have troubles trying to send the data. But if you are in a bad signal area, you will have some troubles. So it depends. It totally depends. I mean, the default packet is about, let me check 1 second. Default packet is 37 bytes. And if you send them every, I don't know, every 40 seconds, you need to calculate a little. And you will get average data consumptions to connect to do some changes in the configuration, so you will consume more data. You will need to do some upgrade, so you will consume more data. So it totally depends on how it works and how the device is configured. So it's a difficult question, maybe. I recommend you to try to use the device for some time, try to get stats from the provider, and try to calculate some kind of average consumption. It will be the best way to determine that, I think. Thank you for your question, Mohammed. Okay. If there is no more questions, thanks for coming to our presentation. We will have another presentation in Spanish in a couple of days on Thursday. Okay, see you next time. Thank you.